A lot of people are talking about what happened this past Saturday at the White House Correspondents' dinner, but I want to look at it from an event planning perspective. Because when something unexpected happens at a high-profile event, one of the first things you have to look at or think about is, what did the contract say? When you plan an event at a hotel, especially one with security, VIP, media, catering, transportation, production, the contract is your roadmap of what happens when things don't go according to plan. And in that contract, if there's one clause that you need to understand above all, is the force majeure clause. Force majeure is the part of the contract that explains what happens when something outside of everyone's control makes it impossible, unsafe, or illegal for the event to move forward as planned. It could be the weather, a government restriction, a labor strike, a shooting. And when you look at what happened on Saturday, this is why those clauses matter. Now, I was not involved in the contract, but I will say 9.99 out of 10, that clause was in there. Event planners need to know what's in their contract before there's an emergency. Now, force majeure does not automatically mean something unexpected happens so we can cancel and walk away with no consequences. You can't look at it like that. You have to read the actual language. The clause spells out what the definition for what makes an event count as a force majeure event. And it should explain what happens next. Can the event be canceled? Can it be postponed? Are the deposits refundable? Are there cancellation fees waived? Are the food and beverage minimums still owed? And also look to see if the clause applies to both parties, the client and the hotel, or does it protect one side more than the other? You have to look at that. The event may last one night, but the contract obligations can continue long after the ballroom is empty. So before you sign that hotel contract or the vendor agreement, don't just look at the date, the menu, the room rental, and the final price. Look at the risk sections, look at the cancellation, the insurance, and definitely look at the force majeure. You have to ask those questions. What happens if the event can't continue? What happens if a vendor can't perform? What happens if the event has to be moved or paused or canceled? Who decides whether force majeure actually applies? Bring in your legal team, document those answers, and make sure your team understands the plan before something happens. Because a well-planned event is not just one that looks good in the ballroom. It's one that's protected, documented, and prepared behind the scenes. And force majeure is one of those clauses you don't want to understand for the first time when you're going through a crisis.